Hello, or should I say smai, to my Welsh family and friends. Welcome to the Whisky Critic. My name's Mark and I am the Whisky Critic, and today we're going to be looking at an expression from the Penderyn Distillery. So Penderyn is a Welsh distillery situated in the little village of Penderyn in the Brecon Beacons National Park. Wales actually has quite a rich history of distilling whisky. But Penderyn Distillery is the first distillery there for over 100 years. It's gone from strength to strength since it opened. It's now sold all across the United Kingdom and internationally. And they're doing so well that they're considering opening up a second distillery slightly further west towards Swansea. So it's a real good news story for quite a small distillery. But today we're going to be looking at the Madeira Cask finish. And I was a bit apprehensive when I purchased this bottle because I've never really liked finished whiskies. So very briefly, basically the finishing process is a way of adding extra complexity to your whiskey by taking it out of the barrels it's matured in this case ex-bourbon barrels, and then putting them into another type of barrel, in this case Madeira ex-Madeira casks, in order to try and inject extra flavours and extra complexity. But as a rule, the finished whiskies that I've generally tried, I've not really enjoyed as much. So I was very apprehensive, like I say, when I purchased this whisky, and I was pleasantly surprised. So I'm going to pour a drop, give it a chance to open up. It's bottled at 46%, and it's going to require a little dash of water as well. Eagle-eyed amongst you will notice there was already a drop in there. But we'll move on. Quick look at the box. I really love this box. It's plain, it's simple, it's, and if you look on the side, it goes into the traditions and how the distillery makes its whiskey. It has a nice bit of history on there, and it's those types of things that me personally, I really like about whisky. I like to look into the different heritage and traditions of the distilleries. And then if you turn it on the other side, it has exactly the same spiel, but in Welsh. And Penderyn are, rightly so, very, very proud of their Welsh heritage. And it's displayed all over the box, which is excellent. So we've given the whisky a little time to open up. I actually recommend with this whisky you let it sit for a good 10 minutes, and you'll get the best enjoyment out of it. I've tried it with and without water, and again, at 46%, you really want to try and dampen down some of that alcohol so we can actually taste the whisky. So we've had a little swivel up. So on the nose, one thing you notice about this whisky is, I know it's matured in ex-bourbon casks, and I know it's finished in a Madeira cask. It gives me that information. But when you put a whisky, an ex-bourbon that's matured in ex-bourbon casks, to your nose, you get that hit of vanilla, very characteristic of American white oak. But you don't get that here. And what that's telling me is that finished whiskies can spend as little as a few weeks in the barrel that they're being finished off in, or they can be there for a couple of years. Sometimes when you read on the bottle that it's been finished for 6 weeks or 2 months in a Madeiran or port or ex-sherry casks, I'm a bit apprehensive, because I think to myself, well, how much of an influence can that really have had in such a short space of time when you're talking about a maturation of sort of 10 years. But this feels like it's been in there a lot longer than that, because you're getting very different. I'm getting that Madeiran. In fact, the Madeiran qualities are overpowering anything else. If I was blind nosing this, I wouldn't have said it had been anywhere near an ex-bourbon barrel, and that it was come out of a Madeiran cask. So now it also has a quite a spicy nose to it, peppery nose. On the palate, whatever they've done, or however long it's been sat in the Madeira cask for, it's complemented this whiskey really well. It tastes, it's got a very unusual taste. So I often say that the bottle looks more like it's a premium wine bottle than a whiskey, and this tastes like a very premium whiskey as well. It only costs me around £30–35, and frankly, I think that's an absolute bargain for this whiskey. Again, if I was blind tasting it, I would have said it was a lot more expensive, and I would have said, I imagine this whiskey is probably around the sort of 7-year-old mark. It tastes far more mature than that, and the distillery have done really well with this whiskey. It's got slightly bitter taste at the finish. When it drops onto the palate, it has a very, very fruity, tropical, Mediterranean taste to it, and that has all come from the Madeira cask. I taste almost no vanilla there whatsoever. It's got a very creamy feel to it, very full-bodied, and it's just very fruity, very pleasant. It's not very. It's quite a warming taste. I can't taste any peppers or spices. That's on the nose, but you don't really get that on the palate. The finish is long, and the finish is not very dry. Again, quite an unusual. Most whiskies are quite dry on the finish, some more so than others. This one isn't. This is more of a, if you used to have sort of a medium wine, this is the type of finish I'm getting from this. Absolutely love this whiskey. It's very, very nice, very enjoyable. And like I say, considering I'm not a fan of finished whiskies, I highly recommend this whiskey. And I'm going to give it 4 stars. It is worth every one of those 4 stars, worth every penny, and I strongly recommend you go out and purchase a bottle and have a try for yourself. If you want to know a bit more about my star rating, you'll see that on my Facebook page, and you can also follow me on Twitter and on YouTube at The Whisky Critic. So until next time, cheers.